I've been thinking about the Rendlesham event and Staff Sergeant Penniston, and I want to make some of my thoughts part of the discourse. And in order to do this, let's say there's two ways. One way is you accept that Staff Sergeant Penniston is telling the truth. The other way is he's not telling the truth. Now, amongst telling the truth, you have a couple of things. One, okay, he's telling the truth about what happened out there, but what he's saying in the 30 years later, where he's coming out and saying, I didn't want to say this because it sounds crazy, but now I feel like I have to say it, after he's a grown man with children who are grown, and he seems to be an honest person, you have to ask yourself, okay, well then is that, I believe that or I don't believe that? And so the divide goes down another road for the non-believing crowd. So for this exercise, I'd like you to accept that I am taking Staff Sergeant Penniston at his word. But let's look at the message. Exploration of humanity. Continuous. Eyes of our eyes. Origin year 8100. That message. And if it is to be taken to be correct, the longitude and latitude of the pyramids of Egypt, the Nazca lines of Peru, the Apollo Temple in Greece, multiple other sites. If you don't know what we're talking about, an American stationed in England walked up to what seems to be an extraterrestrial aircraft, put his hand on it, and took images of what was visible to him as messaging on it. That's the image you saw at the beginning of this video. And then went home, and he was like bothered, couldn't sleep. There was something running through his mind. It was bothering him, and he grabbed a notebook and he just started writing it down. This was in the days before computing. There were no computers in this kid's life or anybody's life, really, except people working in the computer science, and maybe scientists using them as tools in laboratories. But they were zeros and ones, sheets and sheets of zeros and ones. And only 30 years later did he take the notepad out and say, look, I also drew this. And so people don't believe that. But if you take it for what it is and you do the analysis of the zeros and ones and the binary code, you get a text which reads exploration of humanity, continuous, and there's a couple of interpretations of what continuous for planetary advance is one of the things I read somewhere, but that, let's just take continuous. Exploration of humanity, continuous, eyes of our eyes, origin year 8100. And then a couple of idiots I saw were like, this is evidence of time travel. They're coming from the year 8100. No. This is the MTK interpretation of the Penniston encounter in Rendlesham. The 8100 would be going backwards. Now, if I were to put if I had a ship I could send out to other planets and I could be like, okay, go out there, explore them. Oh no, what if you run into someone? I would say to them, well, you tell them how long we've been there. You wouldn't say when you're coming from. And as evidence of how long you've been there, you list things that have come into existence since the time. So if you go back 8,100 years, you end up at 6,120 BC. Exploration of humanity. Continuous. Eyes of our eyes. 6,120 BC. Origin year. Pyramids, Egypt, Nazca Lines, Peru, Apollo Temple, Greece, and then this island thing, which is underwater because right around 6000 is when those islands near Rendlesham, the water rose, making the island structure there and sinking one of the islands, which is a point. I mean, that was a place of land. The MTK interpretation is that the origin year 8100 binary means going backward in time to 6120 BC. The MTK interpretation of the Penniston encounter in Rendlesham, United Kingdom. It's going backward in time.